The fluorescent lights in the neonatal ICU flickered softly overhead, casting a sterile glow over the row of incubators. Maya sat on the stiff plastic chair beside her newborn son, Aaron, her fingers gripping the edge of his tiny blanket as if it were the last anchor in her world. The monitors beeped steadily, their rhythm both comforting and terrifying. Aaron had been born 6 weeks early. His breathing was shallow, his skin almost translucent, and each rise and fall of his chest looked like a fragile miracle. The doctors said he was stable, but the treatment was expensive, far beyond what Maya, a single mother working 2 minimum wage jobs, could afford. The nurse had handed her the latest hospital bill that morning, $42,867.15. It might as well have been 40 million. Maya had been texting every contact in her phone, distant relatives, old friends, anyone she thought might lend even a little. She wasn't begging for the full amount, even $100 could help keep Aaron in care for another day. Her thumbs trembled as she typed, "Greater than, please, my baby needs urgent care. This is the hospital bill. Anything will help. God bless you." She attached the scanned bill and hit send to a number saved as Tia Rosa. At least, she thought it was Tia Rosa. The wrong number. 2 hours later, her phone buzzed. She glanced down, expecting a message from her aunt. Instead, the reply was short, almost businesslike. "Greater than, I got it. Expect funds shortly." Maya frowned. Funds? That wasn't like Aunt Rose's usual warm, chatty tone. She tried to type back thank you, but before she could, her phone pinged again, this time with a bank alert. Her eyes widened. Incoming transfer. $2 million. She froze, certain it was some sort of glitch. Then another message appeared. "Greater than, stay where you are. I'm on my way." Her heart pounded. Who was this? Why would anyone, much less a stranger, send her that kind of money? The billionaire. 200 miles away, Alexander Hale was sitting in his corner office on the 72nd floor of Hale Global Holdings. To most of the world, he was an untouchable billionaire, a sharp-eyed investor with a jawline that made magazine covers and a reputation for turning crumbling companies into gold mines. But at that moment, Alex wasn't thinking about corporate mergers. He was staring at the message that had just appeared on his private phone, a number only a handful of people had. The hospital bill. The words, "my baby," had cut through him like a knife. Because once, 15 years ago, he'd been in an NICU himself, holding the tiny hand of his baby sister, Emily, who hadn't made it. He had sworn that if he ever had the power, no child would be denied life because of a bill. Without hesitation, he transferred $2 million, more than enough for any treatment, recovery, and a lifetime of care, and called his pilot. The arrival. Back in the hospital, Maya was still staring at her phone when she heard the rush of voices outside the NICU. Nurses whispered, security guards straightened, and then a tall man in a charcoal suit stepped into the room. He looked like someone who belonged in glossy magazines, not in the cramped corridors of the city hospital. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on her. Maya. His voice was deep, steady. She nodded slowly, still gripping Aaron's blanket. "I'm Alexander Hale. I believe you sent me a message by mistake." Her cheeks burned. I'm so sorry. I thought I was texting my aunt. I didn't mean." "You sent me your baby's bill," he said gently. "That wasn't a mistake." Tears welled in her eyes. "But I can't take your money." "You can," he interrupted. "And you will. Your son will get the best care. Money isn't your worry anymore." Maya's lips trembled. "Why would you do this for a stranger?" He hesitated for a beat, his gaze softening. "Because once, my family couldn't save someone we loved. I won't let that happen again." A new beginning. From that day forward, the hospital staff treated Maya and Aaron like VIPs. Aaron's incubator was upgraded, specialists were brought in, and a private nurse was assigned to them, all expenses covered by Alexander. But Alex didn't just write the check and disappear. He came by the NICU every day, often arriving before Maya had even had her morning coffee. Sometimes he brought flowers, sometimes food, sometimes just quiet company. At first, Maya didn't know what to make of him. She had spent her life being invisible, the girl who blended into the background, who never asked for help. Yet here was this man who could have been anywhere in the world, choosing to sit in a plastic chair beside her and watch over her child. One evening, as the sunset painted the hospital windows gold, she whispered, "You've already done so much. Why are you still here?" He looked at her for a long moment before answering. Because I want to be. Healing. Over the next 6 weeks, Aaron grew stronger. The first time he grasped Alex's finger, the billionaire's usually composed expression cracked into an unguarded smile. One afternoon, Maya caught him holding Aaron against his chest, humming softly, not a lullaby, but something warm and steady. She had to turn away for a moment, overcome by the sight. Alex began to share bits of his life, the loss of his sister, the years of burying himself in work, the loneliness that no amount of wealth could fix. Maya found herself telling him about her own struggles, dropping out of college when she got pregnant, the long nights working as a waitress while her swollen feet ached, the fear that she wasn't enough for her son. Somehow, in the sterile hum of the NICU, they built a quiet trust. The day Aaron went home. It was a crisp spring morning when the doctor finally said the words Maya had been praying for, "You can take him home." Maya laughed through tears as she dressed Aaron in the tiny blue onesie she had bought months ago, before the world had turned upside down. Alex was there too, carrying the baby carrier as if it were made of glass. Outside the hospital, the sunlight felt almost unreal. Alex handed her the keys to a car, a safe, sturdy SUV, and a folder. "This is a trust fund for Aaron," he said. "It will cover his education, his health, his future." Maya's throat tightened. "I don't know how to thank you." "You already have," he said quietly. "By letting me be part of his life. I'm on my way, again." 3 months later, Maya was sitting on the couch in her small, now fully paid off, apartment, rocking Aaron to sleep. Her phone buzzed with a text. It was from Alex. Board meetings dragging. "Miss you too. I'm on my way." She smiled through happy tears. Because she knew, without doubt, that those words meant more than a billionaire's rescue, they meant family. And this time, she had sent the message to the right person. The steady beep of the NICU monitor was the only sound keeping Maya grounded. She sat in the hard plastic chair beside the incubator, eyes fixed on the rise and fall of her newborn son's chest. Aaron's breathing was shallow, his tiny ribs visible beneath translucent skin. The doctor's voice from earlier still echoed in her mind, "Stable, but he needs to stay here. The treatment is costly." Costly. That was an understatement. The latest bill in her hands read $42,867.15. Maya was a single mother working 2 part-time jobs, barely covering rent on her 1-bedroom apartment. She had already sold her car, pawned her jewelry, and maxed out her credit card. That morning, desperation had forced her to scroll through her phone contacts, sending a plea to anyone she thought might help, friends she hadn't spoken to in years, distant relatives, even old classmates. Her text was short and raw. "Please, my baby needs urgent care. This is the hospital bill. Anything will help. God bless you." She attached the scanned bill and hit send to a number saved as Tia Rosa. At least, she thought it was Tia Rosa. 2 hours later, her phone vibrated. The reply was simple. "I got it. Expect funds shortly." Maya blinked at the screen. It didn't sound like her aunt's usual warm tone, but she brushed it off. A minute later, her bank app pinged with an incoming transfer notification. Her breath caught. $2 million. Her hands shook so violently she almost dropped the phone. This couldn't be real. Before she could process it, another message came through. "Stay where you are. I'm on my way." Maya's heart pounded. Who is this? The man behind the message. On the 72nd floor of Hale Global Holdings, Alexander Hale stared at the message on his private phone, the one only a handful of people had. The bill. The words "my baby" pierced him deeper than he cared to admit. 15 years ago, he'd been in a NICU just like that one, clutching the tiny hand of his baby sister, Emily. She hadn't survived. His parents had been crushed not only by grief but also by the crushing medical debt that followed. Alex had sworn that if he ever had the power, no child would die because of a bill. He called his bank and transferred $2 million without hesitation. Then he told his pilot to prepare the helicopter. An unexpected arrival. Maya was still staring at her phone when a commotion stirred outside the NICU. Nurses whispered, security guards straightened, and then a tall man in a charcoal suit stepped into the room. He looked like someone from a magazine, tailored suit, sharp jawline, but his eyes were softer than she expected. "Maya?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, I'm Alexander Hale," he said, his voice low but clear. I believe you sent me a message by mistake. Her cheeks flushed. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought I was texting my aunt. I didn't mean. You sent me your baby's bill, he said gently. That wasn't a mistake. Her lip trembled. I can't take your money. You can, he said firmly. And you will. Your son will get the best care. Money isn't your worry anymore. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Why would you do this? He hesitated before replying. Because once, I couldn't save someone I loved. I won't let that happen again. Part 2, I'm on my way. From that day forward, the hospital seemed transformed. Specialists were brought in, Aaron's equipment was upgraded, and a private nurse was assigned to him, all at Alex's expense. But Alex didn't just pay and vanish. He came back, every day. Sometimes he arrived with flowers, sometimes with dinner, and sometimes just with a quiet presence that somehow made the room feel warmer. At first, Maya kept her distance. She was grateful, but wary. Men like Alexander Hale didn't stay in the lives of women like her. But over time, his visits felt less like charity and more like something else. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting amber light over the NICU, Maya looked up from her chair to find Alex watching Aaron through the glass. You've already done so much, she said softly. Why are you still here? He didn't look away from the baby. Because I want to be. Small steps. Aaron's health improved steadily. The first time he gripped Alex's finger, the billionaire's face softened in a way Maya had never seen. She caught him one afternoon holding Aaron against his chest, humming under his breath, not a song she recognized, but something steady and comforting. That night, Maya found herself telling him things she'd never told anyone, about dropping out of college, the long nights waiting tables while pregnant, the constant fear that she wasn't enough. Alex listened, really listened. And when he spoke of his sister, his voice cracked in a way that made Maya's heart ache. Going home. It was a bright spring morning when the doctor finally said the words Maya had prayed for, you can take him home. Maya dressed Aaron in the tiny blue onesie she had bought before her world had fallen apart. Alex carried the baby carrier with surprising tenderness. Outside, sunlight seemed almost unreal. Alex handed her a folder. This is a trust fund for Aaron. It will cover his education, health, and future. Maya's throat tightened. I don't know how to thank you. You already have, he said softly. By letting me be part of his life. 3 months later, Maya was rocking Aaron to sleep in her small, now fully paid off, apartment when her phone buzzed. It was from Alex. Greater than, board meetings dragging. Miss you too. I'm on my way. She smiled through happy tears. Because this time, she knew exactly who those words were for, and they meant more than any fortune ever could.